I think the year has been, as we said, very intense. A lot of things going on. And it feels like a preview of what we will be seeing on 2024.
Es como si nos hubieran bombardeado.
What happened in Acapulco was like beyond everything I had seen before.
Got it. It's on the other side. It's on the other side.
We were very close to the border between Gaza and Israel. And you're right, we were right in the middle of the rockets. I honestly believe in this responsibility that we have with our audience.
Welcome to the Backstage con Telemundo podcast, where you will hear from all of our stars in front of and behind the camera on what it's like to work for the epicenter of the Hispanic media world and how we bring that juego and fuego to all screens. Ahora sí, vámonos backstage con Telemundo. It's that time of the year again, a time to reflect on some of the biggest learnings and events in 2023 as we gear up for endless holiday hosting with Mi Burrito Sabanero and Feliz Navidad on replay. Y mientras se nos va otro año, hoy nos sentamos con nuestro conductor de Noticias Telemundo, Julio Vaqueiro, para reflexionar y conversar sobre algunos de los eventos noticiosos más destacados del 2023. Julio, bienvenido. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Encantado de estar aquí. Buena oportunidad para recordar los eventos importantes del año y muy contento de platicar contigo.
Definitivamente. Bueno, un placer de tenerte aquí en el backstage con nosotros. Y te tengo que preguntar, ¿ya estás listo para todas esas fiestas de fin de año?
Ya estoy listo. La verdad que me encanta esta época del año. Es un momento muy familiar. Ahora con hijos, además, como que la disfruto de una forma diferente. Los niños traen muchísima ilusión y entonces es una época muy bonita, la verdad, para estar en familia.
Claro que sí. ¿Y qué se come en casita en estos tiempos de fiestas?
Sí, pues mira, en mi casa, en México se acostumbra mucho también a comer pavo, aunque el pavo aquí es más como de Thanksgiving. En México se come mucho pavo. Y luego están los romeritos y el bacalao. Hacemos un poquito de todo, la verdad. Y luego están las posadas, que también son una temporada de comida muy rica. Así que, bueno, se come de mucho y de todo.
Y que no falten esos buñuelos también.
Y que no falten los buñuelos, exacto,
bueno.
para las posadas, que son buenísimos, sí, claro.
Buenísimo, buenísimo. Bueno, creo que hablo de parte de todos nosotros cuando digo que se trabajó muy duro este año.
Sí.
Así que muy bien merecidas vienen esas vacaciones de fin de año, ¿no?
Sí, la verdad que todo el mundo las está esperando porque sí, es que qué año, ha estado muy intenso, muy intenso.
Definitivamente. Y bueno, con eso, let's get right into it.
Sure.
Julio, looking back at 2023, can you take us through some of the top news of the year?
Totally. So, I think the year has been, as we said, very intense, a lot of things going on, and it feels like a preview of what we will be seeing on 2024, an election year, a very important election year. So this year was very political. President Donald Trump faces now 91 criminal charges, and he's also leading the polls. So that's been a big part of this 2023. It's like setting the stage for next year's elections. That's on one side. Then the other part that has been also very, very intense has been the border. A lot of things going on there. At the beginning of the year, we went to Ciudad Juárez, where a terrible tragedy took place. 40 migrants died on a fire in a detention center owned by the Mexican government. So that was a tragedy, and we went there, and it only reflects how difficult the trip for migrants is. On this attempt to cross into the United States is very dangerous for these families. And that was one trip to the border, and then the other one was the end of Title 42, which is what's a very important policy of the U.S. government that started during the pandemic.
En la cuenta regresiva para el fin del título 42 estamos en la frontera entre Ciudad Juárez y El Paso.
And didn't allow migrants to cross and ask for asylum in the United States. They were all being returned to Mexico. We're talking about thousands of migrants. That's part of the reason why this fire took place, because the Mexican authorities were not prepared to receive so many people along the border.
Gente de distintas nacionalidades, de toda Centroamérica y de toda Sudamérica, pero hay gente de todos lados, amigos.
So Title 42 ended, and now policies are changing, and there's a lot of confusion of what's going on at the border, which is a crisis, and a lot of people trying to cross, and authorities being overwhelmed in the United States and in Mexico. I would say those two things really marked the first half of the year. And then, on the second half, the war in Israel has been a very important event that has shaped the news in the whole world.
Yeah. Well, definitely quite the year. Thank you so much for that recap, because I always think it's so eye-opening when you really sit down to process everything that can happen and did happen in just a year. And with that, I want to dive deeper into some of the hard news that you've covered. You've mentioned some of them already. You were on the ground when it came to natural disasters such as Hurricane Otis in Acapulco, Hurricane Idalia here in Florida. And you were also on the ground on what looked like the outskirts of a battlefield while covering the Israel-Hamas conflict. What were these experiences like?
Well, when each one of them is very different. Hurricanes are very similar one to the other because, it's just a natural disaster and families suffer a lot. They lose everything they have, and they tend to be very similar. But what happened in Acapulco was beyond everything I had seen before.
Es como si nos hubieran bombardeado. El sistema se ha caído.
That destruction has been the worst thing I've seen. Everything was completely destroyed. Every single house, every single street, every single tree, everything. Every window was broken. Mud all over the place. Families looking for their loved ones, they couldn't communicate, so they would cross the whole city from one place to another because there's no public transport, there's no gasoline, there's no phones. So people were literally walking across the street, across the city, across the bay, just to look for their loved ones who live in another area. No water for days, for maybe more than a week. No electricity. So, that destruction was huge. And while we were there, that's what always happens in these kind of situations. You go to the area, people receive a lot of attention, all the media gets there, we're all talking about it, but then we all leave. Yeah. And they stay there with that tragedy and with that suffering. And that's always very hard. And when I got home from Acapulco, I remember thinking about it because I was back home and just back to normality, seeing my kids, my wife, water, electricity, cell phone. And it's just hard to be back and act normally as if that
process
didn't happen,
everything
Yeah. So that was Acapulco, which was very different to other hurricanes. And then, of course, the war between Israel and Hamas, which was also a completely different experience for me.
Hola, estamos en el sur de Israel. Esto es
we were very close to the border between Gaza and Israel. And you're right, we were right in the middle of the rockets. You don't think a lot about it during the moment because of the adrenaline. You just try and follow protocol and be alert. And then when you get home, that's when you realize what happened. And again, but you get to leave the situation, and you think about people who stay there and are still suffering because of it. So that's a hard part of it. And I would say that's also what helps you remember that it's not about you. And that's why you can cope with it, because you're not really part of the suffering and part of the story. There are people who are really, really being affected by these events. And that's when you act as an observer and then it's a little easier to manage the intensity of it.
Let me ask you, when you go out to cover these type of breaking news, I can imagine it must be incredibly tough as a journalist and overall as a human being to process what's happening. And then you have to interview these individuals who have been severely impacted by these things. How do you navigate your interviews in a way that is sensitive to these people's pain and also manage your own emotions along the way, because you're human?
Yes.
And I'm sure that there have been times where you've wanted to break down right with these people and you've had to refrain yourself from doing that.
Sí. Bueno, I think, you just have to be very conscious about the fact that you are talking to other people who are suffering. You're not just looking for a soundbite for your story. Sometimes you can fall into that trap because you don't have the luxury of time. You just want your elements for your newscast, for your story, for your interview, and that's it. Because everybody's in a rush, But you have to constantly remember. I try to remember all the time that these are people, and we are having a conversation with people who are suffering because of these events. So I just try to be very, very conscious about it and have real conversations and try to really understand and meet in a real way the people that we encounter. And I think that's a trick. It's hard because it's easy to forget about it. You become a little numb when it comes to these tragedies, but you have to constantly remind yourself that these are human lives.
Right. And how do you mentally prepare for these type of events once you get the call that there's breaking news? You have to be on a plane in less than 24 hours. What goes through your mind when you're on that flight?
I'm not sure if there's any time to mentally prepare. It's like this just happened. Go to the airport and go to the area. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard for the family. It's hard to have these conversations with your wife and tell her, what, war just started in the Middle East and I have to go. And it's hard for them. And my kids are still very young, so they don't really understand. But my wife really carries a lot of the weight of it. And then you pack it. You pack. I have my bag is ready in the car for whenever I need to go. And it's a very quick moment, so it's just a matter of seconds, minutes, and then you have to go. Yeah.
Do you even have time to get scared?
That's
when
my
it comes
point.
to events like these,
Well, it's a lot of being in the moment. That's what I try to do. So if I'm in my house with my family, with my wife, I try to be there and talk to her and explain her and try to make her feel a little calmer. And then when you are on the field, then just focus on what you are doing there. Yeah.
Got it. And clearly, this is a field that you have to have a lot of love and passion for because you're exposing yourself to risky situations every once in a while. What keeps you coming back to the newsroom?
Well, I love what I do. Honestly, I love what I do. And I honestly believe in this responsibility that we have with our audience. They trust us every afternoon to get their news from us. They turn on the TV. They look for our content on our digital platforms. So I do believe that we have a responsibility with them, with the people who follow us and get the news from us. So that's basically it. Just this sense of commitment with our audience.
Así vamos. Un día a la vez.
And also with the team, with Noticias Telemundo. It's a big team, a lot of people working in the newsroom, a lot of people working on the field, cameramen, reporters, writers, producers, editors. So there's also a commitment with them. This is a teamwork, and we just have to be there for one another and do our part to make sure that things get done properly.
Well, and it's a beautiful mission, I think, what you guys embark on every day. And thank you for sharing that. First and foremost, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
Because as you said, this is a testament to the commitment you as journalists make every day to courage and to keeping our community informed with the end goal of allowing us to make better decisions in our lives. And you also give a platform to us to be able to share our voice, raise awareness for what's going on in the world with the goal of eventually creating some type of change. So
yes,
thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you very much for that. That's true. I mean, there are millions of people here in the United States who get their news in Spanish because that's all they understand. So it's an important job. And I do look at it as a service to our community. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, now that we're officially inspired, let's get into the
I know.
holiday spirit, shall we? Alrighty, Julio. So talk to us about an inspiring story you've covered this year that restored your faith in humanity.
I got to interview the Pope, That was
a good one,
That
yes.
was huge. That's, he comes from Latin America. So it was a huge experience. Estaba muy nervioso, pero la conversación fluyó muy bien. Él trató de romper el hielo muy rápidamente, hacernos sentir cómodos a todos ahí en Roma. Fuimos el equipo al Vaticano y ahí lo entrevistamos. Y fue una conversación muy, muy amable. También tuvo sus preguntas difíciles y él, claro que las contestó todas, pero al final me gustó mucho la reflexión con la que nos dejó, porque le pregunté cuál es el papel de los periodistas o cuál debe ser nuestro papel en este momento. Y nos dio ahí algunos consejos de lo que él cree que debemos hacer en estos tiempos, en los que hay retos enormes para el periodismo. Por la desinformación, por las múltiples plataformas, por el contenido que sale sin verificarse y se comparte entre millones de personas y que a veces son mentiras, ¿no? Entonces, esa fue una buena experiencia, la verdad que yo creo que fue probablemente el highlight
de tu año.
Del año. Laboralmente, sí.
Y de esa experiencia, ¿hubo algún mensaje que resonó contigo que te dio el Papa?
Sí, bueno, nos invitó a no ser, en este sentido, en esta pregunta última que te digo que le hice, a no caer en el sensacionalismo, ¿no? Que es siempre una tentación que está ahí en el periodismo, porque uno pues trata de vender el producto, el contenido, y quieres llamar la atención de la gente para que te volteen a ver. Y entonces al momento de contar la historia, pues la quieres hacer interesante. Pero a veces uno puede caer en el error de, por querer hacerla interesante, salirte un poco de la realidad.
El periodista tiene que ser creativo. Creativo respetando la verdad, la realidad, ¿no?
Entonces, bueno, siempre es muy importante no caer en esa tentación, ¿no? Y fue un recordatorio importante que nos lo dijera. Sí.
Buenísimo, buenísimo. Y Julio, looking back at all of the experiences you've had this year, what's on your wish list for 2024? ¿De qué necesita más este mundo desde los ojos de un periodista?
Bueno, I really wish we can live up to the expectations that our audience has. Because, as I said, it's important for a lot of people to be informed in Spanish. So I just hope we can really estar a la altura de las circunstancias el año que entra. Because it's going to be a very hard year, difficult election year, with so many things going on, and a different election year to others because of what's going on with President Trump and his criminal cases. So it's going to be challenging, very challenging. And you have two contenders, probably President Trump and President Biden. A lot of people don't want that face-to-face again, to see that 2020 election being repeated on 2024. And the economy is not very good for everybody. Inflation is really hurting families. So it's going to, the tension is building up. And I just hope we can tell the story as truthful, as balanced, and make justice to what's really going on. Mm-hmm.
Well said. And what is your wish for the world?
Okay, so I wish we could listen more to each other. because this polarization that we're going through, it's really just because we only listen to what we want to listen to those who think like us, to those who speak to what we want to hear. But the truth is that to understand the other side and to understand other people, you have to really be curious about it and humble and try to really listen.
And have an open mind.
Have an open mind to other opinions, other stories. Just break stereotypes and be open to other stories.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you so much for that, Julio. That was beautiful and inspirational for 2024. Y ahora sí, hemos llegado al momento del claquetazo.
Ándale.
Are you ready for this?
Ready. Vamos.
Ok, bueno, te cuento un poco. En esta versión del claquetazo te voy a hacer 4 preguntas al estilo rapid fire.
Ok.
Y quiero que me respondas con lo primero que se te venga a la mente. ¿Listo?
Uf, vamos a ver.
Ok, primera pregunta. Annual holiday tradition.
Ok, viajar a México, estar con mi familia. Mis papás viven allá, mis tíos, mis hermanos, todos. Entonces, para mis hijos es lo máximo ir a México en Navidad y pasar el tiempo con la familia.
Y comerse un pavito.
Un pavito, unos romeritos que no sé si sepan qué son, pero
no, cuéntanos, ¿qué es
son
eso?
como tortas de camarón con mole en unos
that sounds
tacos,
delicious.
tortilla, frijolitos. It's nice.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yes.
Best gift you ever got as a child?
Una bicicleta. Yeah,
¿Una bicicleta?
Simple. pero ya, siempre me acuerdo mucho de esa bicicleta. Ahí estaba en mi casa grande, ya no era tan chiquito, no era tan niño, ya era un poco más grande. Bueno, es que yo seguí creyendo en The Three Kings como por mucho tiempo. Kind of embarrassing.
So at what age did you stop? At what age did you stop believing in the Three Kings?
Probably like 5th grade, so that's like 10, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. Your face. I mean, I'm glad this is a podcast because your face was...
Well, now we know you have a very positive spirit, Julio.
I have a lot of faith.
Yes,
exactly.
absolutely. Favorite holiday song? Te la puse difícil.
Yeah, burrito sabanero. Mi burrito
es que esa es
sabanero.
una
You
clásica.
started with that one, right?
Esa es una clásica, mi burrito sabanero.
Exacto.
A personal holiday miracle you'd ask Santa for?
Oh my God. Well, it's not a miracle, but I just wish my family can stay as healthy and as happy as we are right now. I mean, it can be a miracle because when you think about it, these good things that happen around us and we just overlook most of them, but they are kind of a miracle. So I just wish things can stay like that in my family.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Julio. Thank you so much por estar con nosotros aquí and for giving us a rundown of the year.
Yes.
Para todos nuestros oyentes, déjenos saber en los comentarios sus pensamientos sobre este episodio y no olviden suscribirse a nuestro canal en YouTube @Backstage con Telemundo. Felices fiestas y hasta la próxima.